get to know the outline summary of one of the finest and heart-winning historical work of the greatest Tamil author Kalki Krishnamurthy. Yes, I am going to give you the short and sweet nutshell of Ponniyin Selvan, which is widely considered by many to be the greatest novel ever written in Tamil literature. This epic is totally composed of 5 volumes or about 2300 pages approximately. This book took more than 3 years to complete, and Kalki Krishnamurthy first published it as a series in the Kalki, which is a Tamil language weekly magazine. Later, it is integrated into a novel and published in the year 1951 to 1954. The first book of the series, Ponniyin Selvan, is New Flux. Though Ponniyin Selvan is published in the mid of 19th century, this epic is all about the Chola dynasty of 10th century. The first king in the Chola dynasty was Parantaka I. During his rule, his first son, Raja Chola, had lost his life in a battlefield. So, after the death of Parantaka I, his second son, Gandharaditya Chola, had succeeded the throne. After Gandharaditya, his last brother, Arulmozhivarman Chola, became a king since Gandharaditya's only son, Madurantaka Chola, was a child, and hence Gandharaditya's brother, Arulmozhivarman, ascended the throne. After Arulmozhivarman's death, his only son, Sundara Chola, was coronated as the next Chola king. Here you may question why Madurantaka Chola hadn't become a king as he is grown up now when Arulmozhivarman Chola died. Because Madurantaka's mother, Chembiyan Madevi, actually had no desire of wanting her son to become a Chola king. So, Sundara Chola became a king after the death of his father, Arulmozhivarman Chola. Sundara Chola had 2 sons. The elder one is Aditya Karikalan. The second son is Arulmozhivarman, who is called Ponniyin Selvan, and a daughter, Kundavai Devi. If Sundara Chola dies, next his eldest son, Aditya Karikalan, should eventually want to become a king. But if we guess from the epic name Ponniyin Selvan, actually Sundara Chola's younger son, Arulmozhivarman, had become a king. But why? Let us seek the answer for it from the rest of the novel. Sundara Chola's eldest son, Aditya Karikalan, now living in Kanchi, he was a great warrior. During his young age, Aditya Karikalan had fallen in love with a beautiful girl named Nandini. Both sincerely loved each other. When one day Aditya Karikalan found his lover Nandini talking with his enemy Veerapandiyan, who belongs to a Pandya dynasty, Aditya Karikalan grew very angry and decided to kill Veerapandiyan. Immediately, Aditya Karikalan assassinated Veerapandiyan, even though Nandini pleaded Aditya Karikalan not to kill Veerapandiyan. Why did Nandini beg Aditya Karikalan not to kill Veerapandiyan? The suspense continues throughout the novel, and this was a mysterious love flashback of Aditya Karikalan. Okay, now let us come back to the present. As I said before, Aditya Karikalan is now living in Kanchi. Next, about the Arulmozhivarman, who was a second son of the Emperor Sundara Chola. As a child, while sailing on the river Kaveri with his family, Arulmozhivarman tried to pick a flower from the river, and he fell into the river. As everybody stood shocked, a lady arose from the river holding the missing prince. She placed Arulmozhivarman in the boat and disappeared immediately. Everybody thought it was Mother Kaveri who had rescued the child. From then on, Arulmozhivarman was therefore known in the palace as well as the Chola country as Ponniyin Selvan. Now, Ponniyin Selvan was living in Sri Lanka. There he met a dumb old lady who was roaming in the forest of Sri Lanka. From her drawings, Ponniyin Selvan got some idea of her past. Ponniyin Selvan had learnt that the dumb old lady was a person who had rescued him when he fell into the river Kaveri. And Ponniyin Selvan also shocked to know about his father Sundara Chola had once fallen in love with this dumb lady before his marriage, when he had lived for some time in one of the islands adjoining Sri Lanka. Ponniyin Selvan also found that this dumb old lady had 2 children. Here the suspense is we don't know who was her husband and who was her 2 children. Next, let us move to Sundara Chola's daughter Kundavai Devi, who was in the place called Palayare. She was loved by most of the people, hence she was otherwise called by the name Ilaya Pirati. Kundavai Devi loved her younger brother Ponniyin Selvan deeply. Ponniyin Selvan would never cross the line drawn by his sister Kundavai Devi. She wanted her companion, her beloved friend Vanati, the Kodambalur princess, to marry her younger brother Ponniyin Selvan. When the story begins, we see the emperor Sundara Chola was paralyzed and bedridden in the Tanjavur palace. The people of the Chola country were a bit worried. Many believed that the emperor Sundara Chola was about to going to die. Meanwhile, a debate raged as to who would be the next king of Chola dynasty after Sundara Chola. At the same time, there was a rumor saying that there is a conspiracy against Sundara Chola and his 2 sons. So, Aditya Karikalan in Kanchi sends 2 letters to his friend Vandiyadevan, 1 letter to his father Sundara Chola, inviting him to return from Tanjavur palace to his newly built golden palace in Kanchi. Aditya Karikalan didn't like to be in Tanjavur because there were 2 ministers under whose influence his father Sundara Chola is living. The 2 ministers were Periya Palluvetarayar, the chancellor in the palace court of Sundara Chola, and his younger brother Chinna Palluvetarayar. Aditya Karikalan sends the another letter to his sister Kundavai Devi through his warrior friend Vandiyadevan. Kundavai Devi in return sends a letter to her second brother Ponniyin Selvan through Vandiyadevan. With this, the first book ends. To know further what Kundavai Devi's letter is all about, stay tuned for the next interesting part 2 of the series Ponniyin Selvan. The second book of the series Ponniyin Selvan was The Whirlwind. Vandiyadevan, who was a bodyguard and friend of Aditya Karikalan, was the second protagonist of this story. The author Kalki Krishnamurthy depicted Vandiyadevan as a brave, adventurous and a sarcastic warrior. In the first book, we have seen Kundavai Devi who sent a letter to her elder brother Ponniyin Selvan through Vandiyadevan. With the help of a boat girl named Pungulali, Vandiyadevan would reach a beautiful island in Sri Lanka. Pungulali stands apart from rest of the women characters in this epic. She was an ordinary boat girl who is independent, brave, passionate, tempestuous, ambitious, yet soft, sensitive and beautiful. When Vandiyadevan handed over Kundavai Devi's letter to Ponniyin Selvan, there were two others who gave another two letters to Ponniyin Selvan at the same time. The first letter from Kundavai Devi says Ponniyin Selvan to return from Sri Lanka to her palace in Palayarai. The second letter was from the Tanjavur Prime Minister Aniruddha Brahmarayar asking Ponniyin Selvan to stay for some more days in Sri Lanka itself. The third letter was from his elder brother Aditya Karikalan asking Ponniyin Selvan to return back to Kanchi immediately. Ponniyin Selvan was literally confused in whose letter to be accepted. In the midst of confusion, all on a sudden, some people came to arrest Ponniyin Selvan upon the arrest order from the Chancellor Periya Palluvetarayar. Why Periya Palluvetarayar arrested Ponniyin Selvan? The reason was to kill him. We have already known about the character Nandini, in front of whom her lover Aditya Karikalan killed the last Pandya king Veerapandiyan. Here, the author reveals the suspense who was Veerapandiyan. Actually, Veerapandiyan was the father of Nandini. Yes, Nandini belongs to a Pandyan dynasty. When her lover Aditya Karikalan killed her own father Veerapandiyan, Nandini planned to take a revenge and to destroy the entire royal family of Chola dynasty. So, Nandini made the 60 years old Chancellor Periya Palluvetarayar to fall in the beauty of her. Gradually, Nandini married Periya Palluvetarayar as she planned. Her beauty and unique magnetic personality enslaved the old man Periya Palluvetarayar. After marrying Periya Palluvetarayar, Nandini made Gandharaditya's only son Madurantaka Chola to marry Chinna Palluvetarayar's daughter. From then on, upon hearing the words of Nandini, Madurantaka Chola got the desire to rule the entire Chola dynasty after the death of his cousin Sundara Chola. Madurantaka Chola was supported by the entire Palluvetarayar's group. They have all chosen one day to kill the Emperor Sundara Chola and his two princes Aditya Karikalan and Ponniyin Selvan. I think now you get the reason why Periya Palluvetarayar had sent the crew to arrest Ponniyin Selvan in Sri Lanka. A boat girl with sharp eyesight who knows in and around the sea, Pungulali, by looking at the shore, she guessed that Periya Palluvetarayar's crew was there to arrest Ponniyin Selvan. Immediately, Pungulali took Ponniyin Selvan to safety through a shortcut. When Ponniyin Selvan was going in a boat with her, we see another boat caught fire in which Vandiyadevan was sailing. Suddenly, Ponniyin Selvan jumped into the sea and rescued Vandiyadevan from the burning boat. Immediately, both Ponniyin Selvan and Vandiyadevan got trapped in the cyclone. When Ponniyin Selvan and Vandiyadevan started to lose their hope in surviving the cyclone, the boat girl Pungulali rose to them and saved. She takes them back to safety in her boat. Pungulali saved Ponniyin Selvan in fierce storm and it was only because of her the remaining part of the story continues. Because Pungalali was the one who rescued both the main and the second protagonist of Ponniyin Selvan. With this, the second book ends. Have you remembered the dumb old lady we met in the first book, with whom Ponniyin Selvan's father, Sundara Chola, had love affair? Yes, still the author didn't reveal who was her husband and who was her two children. Keep guessing, guys. Let me see you soon in the next video. The third book of the series, Ponniyin Selvan, was Sword of Slaughter. In the part 2, we have seen the brave boat girl Punkulali rescued Ponniyin Selvan and Vandiyadevan from the cyclone. From there, Vandiyadevan would send Ponniyin Selvan, Punkulali and her aunt's son Sentan Amudan in a boat to the Buddhist monarchy in Nagapattinam. Whereas Vandiyadevan went to inform Kundavai Devi about her second brother Ponniyin Selvan, who was safe in Nagapattinam. On his way to Palayarai, Vandiyadevan would find Nandini and the other Pandya conspirators were placing a small boy on a throne. Here we see the small boy would hand over the sword to Nandini, and then Nandini would eventually promise the small boy in fulfilling his desire. Seeing this, Vandiyadevan get shocked and rushed to Kundavai Devi in order to tell the mysterious plan of Nandini and the other Pandya conspirators. Meanwhile, Kundavai Devi had already received the news that Nandini had invited her first brother Aditya Karikalan to attend a feast with her in the palace. When Kundavai Devi told all about this to Vandiyadevan, she immediately ordered Vandiyadevan to stop Aditya Karikalan from going to attend a feast with Nandini. However, we have already known about Aditya Karikalan, who had once takes a step forward will never turns back. So, when Vandiyadevan was trying to stop Aditya Karikalan from meeting Nandini, he would never listen to him. Hence, Vandiyadevan decided to stay with Aditya Karikalan for protecting him from Nandini and the other Pandyan conspirators. The third book ends here with this suspense. What would happen if Aditya Karikalan meet Nandini? Will Nandini succeeds in killing Aditya Karikalan and crowning Madurantaka Chola as the next Chola king? Or will Ponniyin Selvan be the next Chola king? In the part 4 of the series, Ponniyin Selvan, one of the much awaited suspense will be revealed. So, stay tuned for the next video. The fourth book of the series, Ponniyin Selvan, was The Crown. In the part 3, we have seen Kundavai Devi, who was sending Vandiyadevan to stop her elder brother Aditya Karikalan from meeting Nandini. Before sending Vandiyadevan, the author Kalki had expressed Kundavai Devi's love on Vandiyadevan. Kundavai Devi was the one who would first fall in love on Vandiyadevan. At first, Vandiyadevan would neglect her because of considering his low status. He felt that it is insane to marry a poor soldier when there were so many wealthy princes of other kingdoms were waiting to marry the beautiful princess of Tanjavur Chola kingdom, Kundavai Devi. But Kundavai Devi was strong in her opinion to marry the brave warrior Vandiyadevan. By confessing her love towards him, Kundavai Devi would suddenly grab the hands of Vandiyadevan and says, The hands that holding you now would never hold any other men's hands. By proposing her love, Kundavai Devi would send Vandiyadevan to stop her brother Aditya Karikalan from attending a feast with Nandini. After that, in the next plot of the story, we see the Emperor Sundara Chola was telling his flashback to his daughter Kundavai Devi about his love affair. Before marriage, when Sundara Chola was young, he used to go to a battle near the island of Sri Lanka. Only there he came to meet a beautiful dumb lady. Sundara Chola had fallen in love with this dumb lady named Mandakini Devi. One day, when Sundara Chola wanted to move to a battlefield, he asked one of his ministers to drop Mandakini Devi to her place. The saddest part here is that the minister who went to drop Mandakini Devi returned with the news that Mandakini Devi had committed suicide. After telling his sad flashback to his daughter Kundavai Devi, Sundara Chola was interrupted by the minister in the flashback who had brought the death news of Mandakini Devi. The minister would surrender himself by saying that he had actually told lie about the death of Mandakini Devi. On hearing this, both Sundara Chola and Kundavai Devi was literally confused. Then the boatman who dropped Mandakini Devi says further about the flashback. He says that on that day, while rowing Mandakini Devi in the boatman had found a man struggling in the river. So he thought to rescue him. Later, the boatman found that the man who was struggling in the river was none other than the Pandya king Veerapandiyan. After that, the boatman said that he dropped both Mandakini Devi and Veerapandiyan. In the later part of the story, the author would say that Veerapandiyan and Mandakini Devi actually married together, and also they both had 2 children, a daughter and a son. I think now you get it. Who was Mandakini Devi's husband and who was her daughter? Yes, Veerapandiyan was her husband and Nandini was the daughter of both Veerapandiyan and Mandakini Devi. Still, the author Kalki didn't reveal who was the son of Mandakini Devi and Veerapandiyan. Keep guessing. Later in the story, the Emperor Sundara Chola would send the boatman to bring back Mandakini Devi to the Tanjavur royal palace. The boatman too would accept and bring back Mandakini Devi to the royal palace. As soon as Mandakini Devi enters, we see the Emperor Sundara Chola would be very happy in meeting his lover who he thought was dead. As by the sayings, if something good happens, eventually something bad would also happen. Likewise, that day, all on a sudden, we see one of the Pandyan conspirators had entered into the royal palace and threw his sword. The thrown sword killed Mandakini Devi. Again, the Pandyan conspirator threw another sword to kill the Emperor Sundara Chola. But this time, the thrown sword would fail when paralyzed, bedridden Sundara Chola arose from his bed and moved near to his dead lover, Mandakini Devi. With the death of Mandakini Devi, the 4th part ends here. Next will be the last part of the Ponniyin Selvan, where all your unanswered questions will be solved and all the suspense in the novel will be out soon. The last book of the series, Ponniyin Selvan, was The Pinnacle of Sacrifice. We know that Madrantaka Chola was in desire to be the next Chola king after his cousin Sundara Chola. But Madrantaka Chola's mother, Champion Madevi, was not at all willing to see her son as a Chola king. The reason behind this was all about the flashback. When Champion Madevi became pregnant, her husband Gandharaditya Chola had died. Champion Madevi felt worried and so excited about her pregnancy. But every excitement of hers ends in a drawback that the child she gave birth to was actually going to die due to illness. She felt very down on knowing that her newborn baby boy was going to die. At that time, Champion Madevi met a dumb woman with her daughter, and a son was roaming along with her dumb younger sister Vani. After knowing the pathetic condition of Champion Madevi, the dumb woman gave her son to her, whereas in return, Champion Madevi gave her son to the younger sister of the dumb woman to bury. The suspense here was actually the dumb woman is none other than Mandakini Devi, who was the wife of Veerapandiyan. Mandakini Devi gave her son to Champion Madevi to rise. I think now you came to know who is Madrantaka Chola. Yes, Madrantaka Chola was actually a son of Mandakini Devi and Veerapandiyan, and also a brother of Nandini. Another suspense reveals here is the real son of Champion Madevi, who she thought was going to die, actually alive. When Mandakini Devi's younger sister Vani went to bury Champion Madevi's son, she found that the baby boy was still alive. So she raised the son of Champion Madevi. Champion Madevi's real son is none other than Sentan Amudan. Have you remembered Sentan Amudan, who brought Ponniyin Selvan to the Buddhist monarchy in Nagapattinam along with the boat woman Punkulali? Okay, then comes the part 3 of Ponniyin Selvan that ended where Aditya Karikalan was going to attend a feast with Nandini. As soon as Aditya Karikalan met Nandini, she revealed all about her to Aditya Karikalan. She says that Veerapandiyan was her father, and she also told that she married Periya Palluvettarayar in order to take a revenge in killing the entire Chola dynasty. Meanwhile, Aditya Karikalan and Vandiyadevan, who were shocked. Immediately, a giant man entered the palace and thrown the sword. The sword killed Aditya Karikalan. Everyone had put the blame on Vandiyadevan, who was with him when Aditya Karikalan was killed. Eventually, the innocent Vandiyadevan would be imprisoned. Here we see another character, Manimekalai, who was the sister of Vandiyadevan's friend. One-sidedly loved Vandiyadevan came forward. Even though she didn't kill Aditya Karikalan, Manimekalai proclaimed that she did in front of everyone just to save her lover Vandiyadevan. In the final stage of novel, we see the Periya Palluvettarayar revealed that he was the one who murdered Aditya Karikalan. He also told that he actually thrown the sword only to kill Nandini, but the sword accidentally killed Aditya Karikalan. He felt worried that all this confusions and conspiracy was only because of marrying Nandini. By saying this, Periya Pallavettarayar would kill himself for it. But actually, Periya Pallavettarayar didn't kill Aditya Karikalan. It was still mystery that who murdered Aditya Karikalan. Later in the story, we see Ponniyin Selvan would marry Kundavai Devi's beloved friend Vanati. Next about the character Manimekalai, who one-sidedly loved Vandiyadevan. She was portrayed as a brave girl, but apart from that, one fine, rare quality she possessed was an unconditional love on Vandiyadevan. Even Vandiyadevan mentioned her love as a kind of devotional love which can be shown only to God. She had a pure heart which was, moreover, similar to a child's innocence. But Vandiyadevan would already lose his heart to Kundavai Devi. It was really hard to love someone without any expectations. Finally, Manimekalai left her soul on the lap of Vandiyadevan and attained eternal peace. At last, we see Vandiyadevan would happily marry Ponniyin Selvan's sister Kundavai Devi. Next, the boat girl Punkulali, who was in love with Ponniyin Selvan and was eager to become the queen of Chola dynasty. But she changed her mind to marry her own son Sentan Amudan because she realized that it was better to marry someone who loves her truly and treats her as a queen in his heart. So, the brave boat woman Punkulali would marry her aunt Vani's adopted son, that is, Champion Madevi's real son, Sentan Amudan. At the very end of the book, we see Ponniyin Selvan was crowned as the Chola king. But Ponniyin Selvan would never accept the crown, whereas he would hand over the Chola crown to Sentan Amudan, who actually wanted to be the next Chola king, as he was a real son of Gandharaditya Chola and Champion Madevi. With this overwhelming generosity of the great Raja Raja Chola, Ponniyin Selvan, the author Kalki Krishnamurthy had ended his beautiful series Ponniyin Selvan.